Welcome, everyone. This is a popular Beethoven magazine audio discussion.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into something really fundamental to understanding Beethoven's world,
Mhm.
the Holy Roman Empire.
Right, it's the stage on which his life unfolded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're using an essay from popular Beethoven, Beethoven's Time, and the Holy Roman Empire as our main source here.
It's a great piece for context.
Our mission really is to pull out the most interesting bits about the empire that help us, appreciate Beethoven's life and music even more.
Absolutely. Context is key.
So let's start at the beginning. This Holy Roman Empire, where did it actually come from?
Well, its roots go way back. Think 800 AD, Charlemagne being crowned emperor. That's the traditional starting point.
Okay, Charlemagne. But that's centuries before Beethoven.
Oh, definitely. By Beethoven's era, the late 18th century, it had evolved hugely. It wasn't like a single unified country,
No.
not at all. Imagine a really loose confederation. We're talking over 300 semi-independent states.
300, wow. Covering what sort of area?
Think modern-day Germany, Austria, parts of Italy, France, the Low Countries. It was vast, but fragmented.
So decentralized is putting it mildly then.
Totally. The emperor, the guy at the top, his actual power was pretty limited. Local rulers, dukes, princes, archbishops, free cities, they held most of the cards in their own territories.
And how did someone become emperor? It wasn't inherited.
No, and that's crucial. The emperor was elected.
Elected.
By whom?
By a small, very powerful group called the Prince Electors. This system really underscored the empire's fragmented nature.
Right, kept power dispersed. Now, thinking about Beethoven specifically, Vienna looms large. Why was Vienna so important within this empire?
Ah, Vienna. Well, that's largely down to the Habsburg dynasty.
Habsburg, okay.
They held the imperial title almost without a break from the mid-15th century right up to 1806 when the empire ended. Vienna was their power base.
So it became the capital, sort of automatically. Pretty much the de facto capital, yeah. Politically, culturally, it was the heart. And because of that, it was a magnet for artists, musicians, thinkers. Everyone wanted to be there.
You can see why it must have been incredibly vibrant.
Oh, absolutely. By the late 1700s, it was one of Europe's biggest, most dynamic cities.
Which brings us to Beethoven moving there in 1792.
Exactly. He went there to study with Haydn, sure, but also just to tap into that incredible musical scene, the aristocratic patronage.
Patronage was big there.
Hugely important. That concentration of wealthy nobility meant composers like Beethoven could actually get funding for more adventurous work, maybe more freedom than in a stricter court setting. Vienna was vital for his development, no question.
Okay, let's circle back to those prince electors you mentioned. That system sounds fascinating. Who were they?
Right, the electors. They were the key players in choosing the emperor. Originally, there were 7.
7 specific rulers.
Yes. 3 were high-ranking clergy. The archbishops of Mainz, Trier, and Cologne.
Okay, ecclesiastical electors.
And 4 were secular rulers. The King of Bohemia, the Count Palatine of the Rhine, the Duke of Saxony, and the Margrave of Brandenburg.
Quite a mix.
Definitely. And this system, it was designed to limit the emperor's power, prevent one family getting total control, and maintain a kind of balance between these major states. Very different from, say, a hereditary monarchy like France.
And Beethoven's hometown, Bonn. How did that fit in? Was it connected to one of these electors?
It was. Bonn was actually the capital city of the electorate of Cologne.
Ah, one of the archbishop electors.
Exactly. So it was ruled by the archbishop elector, who held both spiritual power, obviously, but also temporal, secular authority over the territory.
And who was the elector when Beethoven was growing up there?
That was Maximilian Francis. He was actually a Habsburg himself.
A Habsburg? Interesting. Brother of the emperor.
Yes, brother of Emperor Joseph II. Maximilian Francis became elector in 1784, right when Beethoven was in his early teens.
What kind of ruler was he? Did he influence Bonn much?
Oh, significantly. He was very much influenced by the Enlightenment. Quite progressive.
Really?
In what way?
Well, he really pushed to make Bonn a center for culture and intellect. He founded the University of Bonn in 1786, supported the arts, music.
So pretty stimulating environment for a young Beethoven.
Absolutely. That atmosphere of intellectual curiosity and artistic support in Bonn definitely played a part in nurturing his early talent.
Given all this complexity, electors, local rulers, a limited emperor, how did the Holy Roman Empire actually, govern itself day to day?
Well, again, the key word is decentralized. Massively so. Each of those 300-plus states had its own government, its own laws, its own administration.
So the emperor didn't dictate local laws.
Generally, no. His authority was more about overarching things, maybe defense, some foreign policy aspects, but even there, he often needed the cooperation of the powerful states. Local rulers had huge autonomy.
It sounds like it created incredible regional diversity.
It did. But that same decentralization also meant the empire often struggled to act decisively as a whole. It was a weakness, too, a real balancing act. What about the social side? We mentioned the Enlightenment influencing the elector in Bonn. Was there a general sense of tolerance in the empire during Beethoven's time?
It was definitely increasing, largely thanks to those Enlightenment ideas filtering through.
Any specific examples?
Emperor Joseph II, Maximilian Francis's brother, remember, issued his Patent of Toleration in 1781.
What did that do?
It granted more religious freedom to non-Catholic Christians, like Protestants and Orthodox Christians, within the Habsburg lands specifically.
Ah, okay. So progress, but maybe localized.
Somewhat, yes. And Maximilian Francis brought similar reforms to Bonn, fostering a more open climate there. Vienna, being this big cosmopolitan hub, naturally attracted people from all over, creating a relatively tolerant vibe.
But still predominantly Catholic overall.
Oh, yes. The empire remained overwhelmingly Catholic, and tolerance varied a lot region by region, but the trend was towards more openness compared to earlier centuries.
So this complex, thousand-year-old entity, it didn't last forever. What happened? Why did the Holy Roman Empire end?
It finally dissolved in 1806.
1806, right in the middle of Beethoven's mature period.
Exactly. The end came when the last emperor, Francis II, formally abdicated the imperial title.
What forced his hand?
Napoleon Bonaparte, mainly.
Ah, Napoleon.
His victories across Europe, and especially his reorganization of large parts of Germany into the Confederation of the Rhine. Well, that was basically a French protectorate.
Undermining the empire completely.
Precisely. Napoleon's successes really exposed the empire's internal weaknesses, its inability to stand up to this new kind of centralized power. Francis II saw the writing on the wall.
So the end of a political structure that had shaped Europe for, what, a millennium?
Over 1,000 years, yes. It was a momentous shift.
Okay, so summing up, this Holy Roman Empire, it wasn't a simple backdrop. It was this incredibly complex, decentralized world with elected emperors, powerful local rulers.
Right, and understanding that structure helps us see Beethoven's world more clearly. From his start in Bonn, the capital of an electorate ruled by an enlightened archbishop,
To his career taking off in Vienna, the bustling imperial center under the Habsburgs. The empire's unique nature was the water he swam in, essentially.
it truly was. And, it leaves you with a thought to ponder.
Go on.
Well, think about that fragmented political reality, all those different states and competing powers, combined with these new Enlightenment ideals bubbling up. How might that specific environment, that tension maybe, have subtly influenced the very spirit, the revolutionary energy we hear in Beethoven's music?
That's a fascinating question. How the political landscape might echo in the art itself. Something definitely worth thinking about.